Thank you all for coming. Today we're going to be talking about setting up and optimizing your Shopify store, even if you've never sold on Shopify before. We're going to give you everything you need to get started. So let's jump in. The first thing we're going to talk about is setting up your Shopify store. It might seem like there's a lot that needs to go into it, but we're going to break it down for you and go through everything step by step. When you first start on Shopify, you'll find that something you need to pay attention to is what theme you're going to be using. It might seem pretty simple, like just picking out which theme looks good, but there are a lot of elements to consider and a lot of elements that you can change. So let's talk about customizing and setting up the accessibility for your theme. You can choose from free themes or paid themes. The best part is that you can try out each one in your store and see what it looks like before you decide to commit. You can get an idea of what the content looks like, and you can see which themes are optimized for different types of stores. The important part is choosing one that best showcases your products. When picking a theme, you'll also want to look at all the details to make sure that the theme is exactly what you're looking for. So there might be some different style elements to your theme, as you can see in the example that we have here. You may want a theme that includes a quick buy button or a customer testimonial section. And not all themes have the same features, so you should take a look at various themes and decide what's important for you. For example, some themes don't show tags. So if tags are something that you're considering using for sorting your products in your store later on, then if you choose a theme that doesn't have tags, that means you'll have to custom code your own solution. If you have the skill to do that, then it's no problem. But if you don't, then definitely make sure your theme includes tags. Next, beware of choosing a Shopify vintage theme compared to a Shopify 2.0 theme. This is because older themes don't support all the customization options that we're going to talk about a little later, like adding a product filter to your collections or a delivery date picker to your cart. Be sure to check out also the live examples of themes that are being used by real stores. This is a great way for you to get a sense of what theme might be good for your store by comparing stores that sell similar products. And before you make that final decision, do be sure to read up on the reviews, because if a theme is glitchy or it's slow to load, then you may risk your customers abandoning their carts and what they're looking at not converting into a final sale. After you've decided on a theme, then you can customize it in the online store editor. This allows you to move sections around and kind of play with how it looks. Consider carefully what appears at the top of your store and make sure that it's representing what you sell in a way that will catch your buyer's attention. After you've selected a theme, there are some important elements that you're going to want to add to it. First of all, you should add a Contact Us page. This is really important because whether your customers have positive or negative feedback, they need to be able to give it to you. Depending on what their experience is in your store, they can contact you via this page, or you can give them options to contact you, like through social media, through email, through WhatsApp, or any other method that you choose to put here. To finish up adding a page, you just add it to your pages area of your online store, select a publish date, and then make sure you add a link to the new page in your menu so your customers can find it. You also want to add an announcement bar. So this is critical because it appears at the very top of your store. It's going to get your buyer's attention right away. This is a great place to display promotions, updated policies, or things like shipping delays. And some themes have an announcement bar or banner built in, but others will require you to download an app to add the announcement bar. Next, you'll want to add a newsletter sign up. And Shopify offers a lot of great features to help you keep in contact with your customers. One of them is creating a newsletter. This is an element that you'll add by customizing your theme. You just select the template that you want, and then you add a sign up form to your newsletter section. Then you make any changes you want to the header, the paragraph, and the email form blocks, and then when you're happy with it, you can save it. And now you can gather customer emails so you can keep in touch with them and make sure they stay up to date on your latest products and promotions. You'll also want to add order notes on your cart page. You can use order notes to collect special instructions from customers about how to prepare and deliver an order. And this is also really useful if you offer products that have customization options. So your customers can tell you exactly what they want and how to personalize it. Adding a recommended products section is always a good idea too, because if you want to sell more, why not offer customers your products that go well with products they've already shown interest in. Shopify has its own algorithm that predicts the products that buyers will be interested in based on data about the products that are commonly purchased together. So over time, this is actually going to get more and more accurate as more product information becomes available. You should also add storefront filtering. And for this next tip, you'll need to make sure that you have a 2.0 theme installed. This will make sure that your theme supports storefront filters because vintage themes do not. Storefront filters allow you to set up product filtering on your search and collection pages. And adding storefront filtering is a great idea because it allows customers to search for your products based on availability, product type, color, or other options that you want to set up to help your customers find products that interest them the most. And the last thing here we'll talk about is adding a delivery date picker to your cart. So like storefront filtering, you need to have a 2.0 theme in order to use this feature. But it's a great feature because you can let your customers decide what date they want their products delivered. Just note that you'll also need to use a particular style of cart. So you'll need a page style cart rather than a drawer or a pop-up cart when you select this for your theme. It brings up a calendar for your buyers to select the date that they want products to be delivered. Moving on. So let's talk about language and wording in themes. Maybe you've heard the phrase, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it's important to choose language that reflects your brand. It's also important to use language that your audience uses and relates to, and it fits your brand's tone. So do you prefer cart or shopping bag? Do you prefer sold out or unavailable? Another way you can customize your online store is by changing the wording that's used for elements of your theme. So some themes offer more than one language option, and if you sell internationally, that's something you definitely need to consider. You can target customers in their native language, which is very important. This is also very useful if you're already using a PIM tool to store your product data in more than one language. That way the rest of your product data will match your store. Next, you should consider changing your catalog page. All Shopify stores have a page that lists all of the visible products in the store, and this is called the store's catalog page. By default, the products on the catalog page are displayed in alphabetical order, but in most cases, this won't really make sense for what you sell. So what you should do is create collections in order to control the way in which your products are displayed. And this way you can choose one of Shopify's sort methods or rearrange products manually into the order you want so that customers see products that are related to each other and related to what they want to see. And lastly, you should remove the Powered by Shopify store text at the bottom of your store page. It's right in the footer and it just says Powered by Shopify, but that's not really something that your customers need to know. So you can go ahead and remove it. You just have to filter for the word powered in the languages area of your online store to find it and remove it. And it'll just add that little extra professional touch. Next, let's talk about blog content generation for your store. And you might be thinking, why do I need a blog to sell products online? But it's actually really important. And luckily, your Shopify online store comes with a built-in blogging engine. So blogging is a great way to build your audience and generate more traffic to your store. And setting up a blog can help you build a community around your products and your brand. And blogs also use the same tags in your Shopify store. So adding tags to targeted blog posts can be a great way to drum up interest in particular products. And then when it comes to content, you'll want to create blog posts that do help target specific products in your store, but also provide something valuable to the buyer. They don't want to feel like they're just reading an advertisement. So blog posts should be treated as something that your customers are going to want to read, not ad copy. You don't want to come off as too direct or too salesy. So instead, a great way to generate blog content is to let the benefits of your products become the pitch. For example, let's say you have this product. We have here a frying pan. So what you want to do is identify the main features of it. So you can see here it's dishwasher safe, it's PFOA free, and it's optimized for induction. So then you can see we have one of these features circled, and this is the feature that we're going to write about. And we want to tell our customers how it's beneficial. So for example, it's important to choose PFOA-free cookware because there are some studies. I have heard that we're having some technical difficulties, so just a moment. Okay, and we're back. Hope you didn't miss too much there. So we're talking about which product you might write a blog post about if you're creating a blog for your Shopify store. So here we're looking at an example. We have a frying pan with several features, just in case you didn't hear before. This pan is dishwasher safe, it's PFOA free, and it's optimized for induction. Now, we're going to select one of these features. We're going to choose PFOA free. And we're going to write about how this is beneficial to our customers. Some studies suggest that PFOAs are carcinogenic, so it's important to choose cookware that is PFOA free. So now you can tie in your product as a solution. Buyers can find a link right to the frying pan that you're promoting. Basically, you want to think about how your product can overcome dangers or obstacles, how it can achieve a goal, or how it can improve something in the buyer's lives. You can also switch it up with product tutorials, industry news, product launches or promotions, and more. Basically, consistency is key. So make sure buyers are aware of your new blog post by alerting them in the newsletter emails that we talked about setting up earlier. All right, next, let's talk about the essentials of a successful web store. So basically, no matter where you host your web store, whether it's Shopify or somewhere else, there are a few things that you'll need to consider. First of all, adding a domain for your store. If you want your brand to look as professional as possible, then it's best to buy a domain name. This way you can have a custom web address rather than having one that ends in .shopify.com. And this is pretty affordable for anyone to do, so whatever domain works for you, go ahead, buy it, and you can use it with your Shopify store. Next, you'll want to consider what different payment options you want to accept with your store. Understanding the payment process is an important step towards getting paid by your customers. When a customer checks out, they can choose to pay for their order using any of the methods that you've enabled in the payment providers area of your Shopify admin. So you can choose to enable a variety of payment options with Shopify. There are a few different things that you'll want to consider when choosing which payment methods to offer. So if you want to let your customers pay using a credit card, then you can use Shopify Payments or a third-party provider. There are also several ways for customers to pay online without using a credit card, like PayPal, MetaPay, Amazon Pay, and Apple Pay. You might also want to accept traditional methods of payment or more modern options like cryptocurrency. If you use Shopify Payments, then you can enable Shop Pay to allow customers to save their shipping and payment information to check out faster. Some of the other payment providers, like I mentioned before, PayPal, Amazon Pay, etc., also offer accelerated checkout buttons that you can enable on your Shopify store. So as soon as customers have selected their products, they can just hit that button and you have a sale. When you're choosing a payment provider, also consider the countries where your business is located because they're not all compatible. So you'll need to know where customers live, where most of your customers live. Shopify's list of payment gateways by country can help you find out which are available in your country and which currencies they support. And then the last thing that we want to consider here is setting up a shipment app to fulfill your orders in an automated way. If you sell from the United States or Canada, one easy option is the Shopify Fulfillment Network. So this is basically a fulfillment service that you can use to store your inventory and fulfill orders. When you receive an order, the Shopify Fulfillment Network picks and packs your products and ships them to the customer, with most shipments within the US delivered to your customer within 2 days. You can manage business data, including shipment tracking, customer data, and inventory levels, all through the Shopify Fulfillment Network. Then aside from Shopify's internal fulfillment services, there are a lot of other options. You can find third-party warehouses or drop shipping services. And these help you prepare and ship orders so you don't have to lift a finger. Fulfillment services can help free up your time because they manage the order fulfillment and shipping. And some services also have partnerships with shipping carriers, which helps you get lower shipping rates. So for our next section, we're going to talk about optimizing your product information for Shopify. Now, there are 3 main methods that you can use for uploading your product information in bulk. First of all, you can add products via CSV sheet. You can also add products using a third-party app. And then finally, you can add products directly from a product information management tool like Plytix. You could, of course, create products manually in Shopify, one by one, but uploading in bulk will save you a lot of time. And by using a third-party app or a PIM tool, you can also automate your product updates so that when you create new products or update existing items, these changes go directly through to Shopify and your customers always see the most up-to-date information about your products. Next, let's talk about uploading your product information to Shopify. So regardless of the method you choose, you'll need to have your data set up correctly. So you'll need to include all of the things that you see here on the screen. Let's talk about each one a little bit more. So obviously the title or the name of the product is very important. This is the first thing that your customers will see. And you'll also need to have a description for each product. So the description will help your customers understand what your product is and why they should buy it. And this can also include HTML content and embedded media so that your customers can see the key features and what's most significant about the product. You'll also need to include pricing information. So this is any information that's related to product price, not just the price itself, but also a discounted price, price in different currencies, and any kind of tax information that's associated with your product. Next, you'll need to include inventory information like the product SKU, the barcode, the stock, and the quantity of the items that you're selling. Shipping information includes things like the weight of the product, the country of origin, the HS code, and the fulfillment service, as long as you're selling physical products, of course. You'll also need variant information, which is used when your product comes in different options such as size or color. For your product status, you can choose from 3 different statuses. These are active, draft, and unavailable. And basically this is to let Shopify know what's available for your shoppers to see, what products are being worked on, which is the status that's applied automatically to new products when they get uploaded to your system, and what products aren't assigned a status in the store. Next, vendor information. So this is the information about which vendor your products come from, or the manufacturer or wholesaler name. The product type is used as a top-level category for your product, and you can only assign 1 category per product, but luckily Shopify has around 5,000 different categories, so you're going to be able to find a category that fits no matter what you sell. Collections. So these are used to help your customers find products more easily. I mentioned these earlier when we talked about tags a little bit in the themes area. They're structured groups that share similar characteristics. So you can assign as many collections as you want to each product, and these will help your customers find the products that they're looking for. And then tags are searchable keywords, basically. So they allow you to sort your products into collections, and they also allow customers to search for your products. Let's talk about using a CSV to upload your product information to Shopify. So this is the first method we'll talk about. And while using a CSV is simple, the formatting requirements for the sheet are not exactly simple. Shopify has very strict criteria on how you need to format data for your Shopify store, even if you have the most basic setup. So once you finish formatting your CSV, it'll probably look something like this example. Once it matches Shopify's requirements, you can go ahead and import the information directly to your account. Just don't forget, you need to not only have the fields properly formatted, but the information needs to be in the right order, otherwise it will not upload properly. Also beware if you use this method, when updating products, you need to make sure that you upload the new information that's most up to date, because Shopify will overwrite any information in your store with the information provided on the CSV. So with this uploading method, it can be a little tedious. Let's take a look at the next method. So this one is using a third-party app to get your product information into Shopify. There are a lot of options. One example is called MooseSync. There's some other plugins available as well. If you do your research, you'll find that there are a ton. So with these apps, you can use URL feeds, FTP servers, or just directly upload a file. And most apps will allow you to map or match your columns with the ones that Shopify requires, which will save you some time and trouble, so that way you can avoid unexpected errors. Just don't forget that providing updated information is important, because just like with the CSV method, Shopify will still overwrite product information in your store with whatever new information you're feeding it. And then finally, the third method for uploading your product information is by using a PIM tool or PIM platform. So PIM stands for Product Information Management. And a PIM system allows you to store all of your product information in one place, and that way you can send it directly to Shopify with the integration from the PIM. This means that you can store your product information, images, videos, and whatever assets you might have, update it once it's in the PIM, and have it sent automatically with the scheduled updates that you prefer. I just want to note that this is the best option, especially if you have multiple Shopify stores or if you sell on different channels. It keeps your data consistent and it can automate most of your product-related tasks. Now we're going to talk about your product attributes and what you should include. Because your list of product attributes has a direct impact on your product conversion, it's something that you'll want to pay a lot of attention to. So on top of the required attributes that you'll want to, on top of the required attributes that you have for your products, you'll also want to include the following that we're listing here. So you'll need an image gallery. This can also include 3D models and videos, and it helps the customers get a better idea of what your product is. It also helps sell the product as well as mitigate returns that come from a misleading image or a lack of images. You'll also need a good and exhaustive description of your product. It's a great idea to use HTML if you can to highlight parts of the product using dimensions if they're not included in Metafields, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And that way your users know the information that they need, they get the information that they need while also improving your SEO. You'll need a meta title and a meta description. This aspect will help your products rank on search engines, so that'll increase the likelihood that customers will find your store when they search for a product. The most accurate collection tree can also help customers find your products more easily and thus improve their experience. So this is basically categorizing your products. Just make sure that you create collections that help your customers navigate your store and find your products as easily as possible. You'll also want to include the vendor and product type to give the most complete information about the product. And basically, using these attributes will make your user experience better, help you rank on search engines like Google, and ultimately increase conversions. All right, next. Let's talk about collections versus tags. So the difference between tags and collections are the main uses for each of them. Basically, both collections and tags are structures that create discoverability for your products in your Shopify store. Your customers can use tags and collections to easily find the products that they're looking for. So let's take a look at each one in more detail. Collections are a way to group your products together. You can even create collections within a collection. For example, if you create the collection accessories, you can create sub-collections like jewelry, hats, belts. Now, tags are the key terms that you use to narrow down your search even more. Tags can be applied whether that's just when you're generally browsing the store or specifically within each collection. So you can use tags to help your customers filter through your collections by important characteristics of different products. And then just remember that not all themes display tags. You can add encoding to make them visible if you don't have tags available in your theme, but this is something you'll definitely want to consider when you're picking out your themes. And then finally, we'll look at one specific example to make this clearer. If you own a pet store, you might want to make a collection for each animal type. You could have a dog collection, a cat collection, a fish collection. Then you can add tags like bowl, yellow, and 20% discount. So next, let's talk about customizing your storefront by using Metafields. This might sound really technical, but don't worry. We're going to go through what Metafields are step by step and how they can help you have a unique store that will make customers really understand your products and want to buy from you. So there are two types of Metafields. They're a little bit different, but basically there are vintage Metafields, or the older Metafields that Shopify used to use, and then there are Metafields 2.0. Metafields enable you to customize the functionality and the appearance of your Shopify store by letting you save specialized information that isn't usually available just when you select a default theme. You can customize these in the Shopify admin section, and that way you can use them to display internal tracking or display technical information in your online store in various ways. The product Metafields in Shopify allow store owners to upgrade their product page by adding special product details. Using the custom product Metafields, you can add personalized content to your products based on category. As a result, you can easily build high-converting product pages and make the user experience better for your shoppers. Here we have an example. This seller sells candles, and one of the things that they'll want to display is burn time for candles on their product pages. While if you have something like a grocery store, they'll want to display different information like expiration dates for canned goods. So other examples can include part numbers, color swatches, launch dates, related products, blog post summaries, or even files for download or lists of ingredients. And speaking of ingredients, we'll look at another example here. Here we have some truffle parmesan crunchies, yum. The Shopify Metafield lets you save all of the special information that you see along the bottom here. So you have information about not only products, variants, collections, customers, orders, blogs. You can include basically any information that you can think of. For example, you may need to attach a user manual that your users can download for electronic products on the product page. In this example, you can see that we have a food that is gluten-free, non-GMO, it's made with heirloom corn and whole grains, and it has a special certification that your customers may be looking for. And by default, Shopify offers you great data storage in your store admin, but that's common for all stores. So therefore, using Metafields, you can store unique data about any object you want in your store. All right, next, let's talk about the different types of Metafields. So basically, Shopify Metafields are categorized on where they can be used within your store. You can use Metafields for products, variants, collections, customers, and orders. So first, let's talk about product Metafields. With product Metafields, you can build complex page designs to enhance the user interface based on product types. The product Metafields are used to store additional product information than you would normally have if you just create a product listing on Shopify. Here you can define Metafields like product specifications, size charts, user manuals, badges, certifications, and many more things. By default, Shopify provides 4 product filters in your stores. Therefore, you can add custom product filters using the product or variant Metafields to allow your shoppers to find products by their variants on the collection page. Next, we'll talk about variant Metafields, and these are used to store additional information that's related to product variants, such as your variant description, color code, fabric prints, flavors, etc. So these are metafields that show how your variants differ from each other. You can show these metafields on the product page for selected product variants, and you can see how to add Shopify variant metafields in your store in the next section. Next, collection metafields are used to store additional information about collections. You can either attach additional information descriptions, or you can build things like brand profiles for your collections using Shopify collection metafields. Next, you may need to show special deals for your customers based on their preferences. So that's when we would use customer metafields. You can also define metafields such as the customer's birth date, their gender, loyalty status, and many more, which can help you to use this information to provide products that your customers will be more interested in. All right, and then finally, we have order metafields. As an online store owner, you're gonna need to set priorities for your orders. Order metafields are used to store additional order information. Using the order metafields can also mark the orders for express delivery or normal delivery or store order delivery date or packaging status. Okay, so let's talk about Metafields 1.0 versus Metafields 2.0. Basically, Shopify 2.0 Metafields are the new and improved way to add custom fields to your store. They're more flexible and more powerful than the old Metafields, and they're a great tool for advanced users. But that doesn't mean that if you're not an advanced user, you can't learn to take full advantage of them. They offer a lot of additional features that are not available with the previous version of Metafields. So let's dive into exactly what those benefits are. Basically, new metafields are easy to use. You can create them based on the type of metafield like we just talked about, and then you can add them to the theme editor to display them in your store. You don't need to edit code files to use them. They can be edited with simple drag and drop logic, so very easy. The second benefit is the ability to set granular permissions on each metafield. You can select whether you want to show your metafields in your storefront or just create them for internal use. You can also send metafields for both products and variants. This means that there can be two metafields with the same namespace and key. Each one is assigned to a product and variant level. Metafields 2.0 are also an improvement on the original metafields because they can be created with definitions. And definitions are basically like templates that specify what part of your store a metafield applies to and what values the metafield can contain. So before you add metafield values to specific products, orders, or other parts of your store, you'll need to add the metafield definition for that information. Adding metafield definitions ensures that the same validation rules apply to every value that you enter for a specific metafield. That way your data stays consistent. The next benefit is the ability to target your metafields using liquid code. This feature is really, really powerful, and you can show your metafield content, for example, only when certain conditions are fulfilled. For example, if a product price is below $100, you can show a free shopping badge on the top of the product images. That's just one example. And then finally, Shopify 2.0 Metafields are free to use. With the new Metafields, you don't need to spend extra on third-party apps, and you can easily add custom data to your store. Just to compare, the old Shopify Metafields were not really as good. There was no built-in Metafield feature available with Shopify. You had to use Shopify Liquid Code or install a third-party Shopify app to add and manage Metafields. So creating metafields using liquid code is pretty complicated. You'll need to have some technical knowledge to do it. But with Shopify 2.0, you don't need to worry about having this knowledge, and you don't need to worry about hiring a Shopify expert in case you don't have that knowledge. So let's talk about how to create and manage your 2.0 metafields. And maybe some of this will sound a little intimidating at first, but trust me, it's pretty simple. Basically, Shopify allows users to create and manage Metafields 2.0 using the Metafield settings in your store general settings. And in order to create and manage Metafields without definition, we'll need to use apps like Plytix to create Metafields without definition, or Metafields Guru to delete existing ones in your store. So in order to have Metafields on Shopify, it's mandatory to create definitions. Metafield definitions act as templates that specify what part of your store a metafield applies to and what values the metafield can have, as we stated earlier. When you're creating a metafield, you'll have to set the following elements. First of all, you need a name. This is the name that will be used on Shopify's user interface dashboard. You'll also need a namespace and key. These are two different elements separated by a dot, and this is what's used to reference a given metafield in our templates. Next, you'll need a description. It's optional, but it's a good idea because it can help you and other users of your store understand what a particular metafield is about. Next, we have the storefront API request option, and enabling this option will give read access to apps, storefronts, or anything using the storefront API. The metafield type. This is basically what type of metafield you'll be using. We need one value or a list of values, so you can use the selector to determine which type of information will be displayed in your metafield. And then finally, the definition pinned option. So this will determine if our metafield definition will be displayed in the dashboard product page. Once all the required information has been submitted, you'll be able to see the newly created metafield in the store settings area. And the definition will also be included in the product page dashboard, where you'll be able to set any value for the metafields manually. So basically that's all we've got about metafields. And now I'm gonna open it up to questions. I know that was a lot of information, so take a second and feel free to ask whatever you're interested in. So one of the first questions that we have is, how does Shopify compare to other e-commerce platforms? And that's a great question. There are a lot of e-commerce platforms out there, but Shopify is one of the most popular, and it's for good reason. For me, it offers the best combination of accessibility and flexibility. So basically, if you have the skills to code your own website, you might want to go with something a little more complicated, for example, Wix, or if even Shopify is a little bit too technical for you, then you'll want to go with something simpler like Squarespace. If you have, oh no, technical issues again. Okay, we're back. So as I was saying, basically there are a lot of different platforms that you could consider, but I think that Shopify is really great value for money, and it lets you create a store that's all your own, but it's not too difficult to use. Okay, next question. How much does Shopify cost? That's a great question. There are a few different plans available. Shopify can cost anywhere from $30 US up to $300. So you'll want to choose a plan based on your needs. But for most people who are getting started with Shopify, the $30 option should be more than sufficient. And then of course you can always upgrade as you grow. And something else to consider is that if you do decide to if you do decide to commit to Shopify for a full year, then you can get a 50% discount, so that can help you save some money. I see there's another one. So we have, how can I get customers to find my Shopify store? That's a great question. If you've done everything that we've just talked about, then you're already off to a great start. But basically a couple important things to do are going to be using SEO best practices in your product listings and in your store. That's going to help you rank higher in search engines when people search for your products, so that they're more likely to come across your store. And then the other thing is, we talked about creating blog content, but it's not enough to just create that content. You're also going to need to promote it. So if you're using social media like Facebook and Instagram, then you can promote your blog posts in order to drive more traffic to your store ultimately. So do those things along with, if you can, advertising is a great option as well. But yeah, basically just stay consistent. All right. I think that might be all we have time for now. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. here we have a code for you. You can scan this easily with your phone if you want to fill out a survey about this event. And we're going to give you a little reward for doing that and letting us know how we did. And we'll send you some Plytix socks. They're really cute. They're purple. Definitely fill it out if you want to keep your feet warm with a cute Plytix logo. So that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you at our next event.